My apologies. Director Meyerhoffen. Director Duff.
Present.
Director Martin.
Present.
Vice President Griffith.
Present.
President Sewell.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. And we do not have any directors participating remotely today. We'll skip item 3. If you'd all please stand for item 4, the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Martin, would you like to lead us?
Sure. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 5, Rules of Procedure. Counselor?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure that have been adopted by the Board of Directors, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. And I do just want to mention that there will be time for public comment during the public hearing regarding our ordinance. So this is just general public comment. Do we have any general public comments today?
President Sewell, not online.
Okay, and it looks like none here in person. And we do have a presentation of our calendar contest winners, but they are coming directly from school, so we're going to push that further down the agenda. Item 8 is our Human Resources Report. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. I'll ask Oriana Hoffert, our Human Resources Manager, to cover this item. Oriana.
Thank you. President Sewell, members of the board, good afternoon. We have a lot to celebrate today. We have 3 new hires, although one of them is absent, so we're only going to introduce 2, and 1 promotion and 1 certification. To begin, we're excited to welcome our new Chief Plant Operator, Brad Adams. Brad brings over 15 years of experience in the wastewater sector. Prior to joining Mission Springs, Brad worked as a Director of Operations at Victor Valley Wastewater Reclamation Authority, where he led operations for multiple treatment facilities and collection system. Brad holds a Grade 5 Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator certificate and is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in public administration. Here to say a few words about Brad is Director of Operations, Danny Friend.
Thank you, Oriana. Good afternoon, President Sewell, members of the board. We're excited to have Brad join us. His skills and talents are a great addition to the district. He brings a positive energy and fresh perspective to the district, which has already been a noticeable impact. He's well respected by and trusted by our staff, especially his team, his wastewater team. His expertise strengthens our operations department and aligns well with the district's goals. Brad hit the ground running and is already contributing to several important projects since he's been here. So Brad is here. He's elected not to say anything, but welcome, Brad. Thank you.
Next slide, please. And we're skipping that one. Okay. We're also happy to welcome Zachary Norman. Zachary has joined us as a Field Operations Technician 1. Zachary has experience in construction, maintenance, plumbing, and groundskeeping. He holds a Water Distribution Operator Grade D1 and a Water Treatment Operator Grade T1. Here to say a few words about Zachary is Construction and Maintenance Supervisor, 'Jason' Weekly. 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 Week
Good afternoon, President Sewell, members of the board. I'd like to introduce Zach Norman. He comes to us, like Oriana said, already holding a grade D1 water distribution and a grade T1 water treatment. He has his background in the private sector of plumbing, and he's only been here for a month. But the guy came in hands-on, asking the questions. He's seen water valve replacements, mainline repairs and fixes, service line replacements. He's really seen everything in a month, pretty much, that we've done, and he's been right there, willing to just get dirty and get hands-on and see what the construction maintenance department is about.
Great.
Zach?
President Sewell and members of the board, I want to start by saying hello. Again, my name is Zachary. It's nice to meet you all. I really want to thank you for the opportunity to be working here at Mission Springs. It's definitely a wonderful opportunity, and I look forward to meeting your guys' standards each and every day. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
We're pleased to announce the promotion of Tim Owens to lead water production operator. Tim has been with the district for a little over 7 years, 6 of which he has served in the water production department. During that time, he has consistently demonstrated exceptional performance, reliability, and a leadership within the department. Tim has routinely taken initiative in managing complex assignments and supporting production staff with operational responsibilities. At this time, I would like to invite Water Production Supervisor Nate Matter to share a few additional remarks about Tim.
Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Just want to touch on Tim Owens. It was a well-deserved promotion to the lead operator. He's very helpful and knows the system very well. He's helped me out in those 8 months or so that I've been here now, get me up to speed and everything with the system. So he's very, very true and very well-deserving of the position, and look forward to working with him for many more years.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lastly, we would like to recognize Construction Inspector Alex Acevedo for his recent achievement in obtaining a Grade 4 Water Distribution Operator certification. The D4 examination
Please take a look at the attached.
The D4 examination is a rigorous and requires significant preparation. In addition, Alex holds a Grade T2 Water Treatment Operator certification. I would like to invite Engineering Manager Eric Weck to share a few additional remarks about Alex.
Thank you, Oriana. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. You know, Alex came to the engineering department a few months ago from the C&M department, and he's really fit in, and he's taken the lead on the inspection program for us for both capital improvements as well as development improvement projects. And just recently, as Oriana said, he got his distribution operator grade 4 certificate after devoting personal time and effort and energy to study and pass the state exam. The engineering department is very proud of Alex, and while he's in the field, he knows he shows his knowledge and his expertise, and he represents the district very, very well. This is a significant accomplishment for Alex, and we're all very proud of him, and we look forward to his future here at the district. Alex, good job. And would you like to come up and say a few words?
President Sewell, members of the board, I'm not going to take too much time. Thank you for the opportunity. I've done this now 28 years in the industry. I've seen a lot of things change. I've seen a lot of advancements. And one of the main things that I will grab from a guy that I learned 27 years ago is never stop learning and don't start progressing. So I guess here's to another good year with Mission Springs Water District, and hopefully we get to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes the Human Resources report for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, congratulations to Tim and Alex. Thank you both for your hard work and just making our team stronger. And welcome to our 2 new team members.
Are we going to hear anything from Mr. Grinch? No?
That might be later.
Yep.
Calendar. Okay. And we're ready to go on to item 7, and that's the 2026 Mission Springs Water District Conservation and Groundwater Protection Calendar Contest winners. Mary?
Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. As I mentioned on Thursday, we're releasing the 2026 Conservation and Groundwater Protection Community Calendar today. Copies are now available in our customer service lobby and are being delivered to public locations throughout the city, including City Hall, the library, and the rec center. Here today to introduce our top 3 finishers is April Scott, who's our Programs and Public Affairs Specialist.
Thank you, Assistant General Manager Champion. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. I'm excited to introduce our top 3 winners in the 2026 MSWD calendar contest. In third place is Joseph Velderate from Desert Hot Springs High School, who focused on the importance of protecting our groundwater from pollution. The judges appreciated how he illustrated the consequences of pollution. I'm happy to note that his artwork was also featured as an honorable mention in last year's calendar. And this is, he's in September.
No, very cool.
Next, we have our second place winner, Valentina Durquay, and from Desert Hot Springs High School as well, who focused on the overall importance of saving the Earth's water. One thing that really stood out to the judges was how realistic the hand and fish are and the beautiful colors. And she's in July. And our first place winner is Nevaeh Nelson from Desert Hot Springs High School, who focused on water conservation and the many ways to save water. And judges really enjoyed the detailed and colorful images highlighting each conservation tip. And she's the first one in January. Really beautiful artwork by all of the participants. While our talented high school students captured this year's top honors, we are thrilled to celebrate winners from 3rd grade all the way through 12th in the calendar. All participating students will receive a certificate of appreciation and a copy of the final calendar. Thank you, and if you don't mind, we'll take another picture with the winners.
Good job. Congratulations.
You know, it's hard to get here after someone, so thank you. They're certificates. Show you up. Thank you, Marian.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you for coming. And with that, we'll move on to our action items for today. Item 9 is our public hearing, and that is for item number 9, ordinance 2025-03, amending sewer service rules and regulations, Article 7, grease and sand interceptors, and Article 11, enforcement. And this is the continued public hearing, originally opened on November 17th, 2025, and is continued to today, December 15th, 2025. I will now reopen the public hearing. I'll invite staff to briefly summarize any updates since the prior hearing.
Thank you, President Sewell. I'll ask our Associate Engineer, Daniel Version, and also Eric Weck, Engineering Manager, to add any summaries or presentations you'd like to provide to the board. Daniel?
Yeah, I was looking to redo the same presentation as last time, since some of the board members were absent.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Daniel Version Jr. I'm Associate Engineer here at Mission Springs Water District, and I'll be presenting item 9, public hearing ordinance 2025-03, amending sewer service rules and regulations, Article 7, grease, sand interceptors, and Article 11, enforcements. President, members of the board, staff is proposing some changes and updates to Article 7 and Section 11.05 and 06 in Article 11 to reinforce and strengthen our ordinance. Article 7, grease sand interceptors. This article applies to the FOG program. FOG stands for fats, oils, and grease. The program applies to any public or private facility that discharges wastewater that contains fats, oils, grease, sand, or lint when pretreatment is deemed by the district. This means that the district requires facility users to install interceptors or grease traps when their establishment discharges FOG into sewer lines. The purpose of the program is to protect the public sewer system from blockages or clogs, so we won't have any backups in our system, in addition to nearby customers that are upstreams from that potential clog. Additionally, we also promote environmental stewardship, so it makes the facility users responsible and fosters regulatory compliance. So we enforce interceptors to be installed to control the wastewater discharge, essentially. So proposed changes to Article 7. Everything that is struck out in red is language we are removing. Everything that is in red that doesn't have the strike through is language we are adding. We included lint into our ordinance language for transparency. Lint was already part of the FOG program. However, the language was not in the ordinance. Additionally, we updated another update we did was to revise the ordinance language for comprehension and readability. One of the things that we kept running into was applicants and permit holders would ask us clarifications in regards to the ordinance. So although we're always willing to help customers, we wanted to update the language so to make it easier to understand, and it's easier for us to reference things when we're helping the customers. Did it switch? Yeah. Continuing to Article 7, Section 7.05, interceptor requirements. As you can see, we revised the language and included clear verbiage on exceptions, responsibilities, permit requirements, and enforcements. I would like to mention that in the FOG program, we follow the Section 7.20 enforcements for non-compliant users. If they're non-compliant, they get issued a notice of violation and receive 10 calendar days to comply. If not, then a cease and desist will be issued for a fine of $1,000 per day until compliance is met. The reason why I brought this up is the update to Article 11 enforcement primarily applies to industrial waste program. In the FOG program, we technically have the flexibility to use the Article 11 update. However, we decided to not implement it in the FOG program because the impact on our sewer system the impact in our sewer system from fog is significantly less than industrial waste program. So applying the same level of enforcement isn't necessary at this time. Continuing on Article 7, but this time Section 7.17 waivers. Facilities with waiver status will now be required to apply for permits under waiver status and undergo annual inspections. So before, if a facility qualified for a waiver, they would just be given a waiver, but now we're requiring them to submit an application. We'll give them a permit and then it'll be classified as a waiver. Additionally, every year we'll do inspections. Article 11, Section 11.05 and 06 applies to fog and industrial waste program. However, the changes that we made are designated to the industrial waste program. As for an overview of the industrial waste program, also known as pretreatment, industrial waste is defined as all wastewater from any manufacturing, processing, institutional, commercial, or agricultural operation, or any operation where the wastewater is discharged includes significant quantities of waste of non-human origins. No industrial waste shall be discharged in the public sewer that exceeds the constituent concentration in the following table. There are 9 constituents, and the discharge of natural geothermal origin is prohibited. Article 11, Section 11.05, civil penalties. We updated the timeline for the fines where it calls for $10,000 per day. This is for non-compliant facilities. We $10,000 or $1,000 per day for the first 30 days, then $5,000 per day for the next 30 days. Then we increased it to $10,000 per day for the next 60 days. So in total, that's 120 days. After 120 days, if the facility still hasn't met compliance, then we can terminate their water and sewer services. Additionally, we are requiring permit holders to notify the district staff immediately when they believe compliance has been achieved. So if a facility is doing as they can to come into compliance and they feel like they are in compliance, they can reach out to us and we'll get with our operations teams to test that facility. So a recap and recommendation. In Article 7, we revised terminology for clarity and consistency. We also added language into the ordinance. We defined notification stages and we expanded the waiver process. For Article 11, civil penalties for non-compliant facilities, and we require dischargers to notify the district once they believe compliance is met. So, President, members of the board, we're recommending to adopt the revised ordinance in Article 7 and 11.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. And before we move on to public comment, did we have anything additional from staff?
No, that concludes our report. Thank you, President.
Thank you. And did we have speaker cards today? Okay. So this is the public comment portion. We ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. If a speaker before you has made the same point, please minimize your repetition of the same point. There'll be no back and forth conversation between the public and the board and staff. All questions raised will be addressed after the public comment period is closed. At this time, are there any members of the public who wish to speak? And I think we just have Jose. I'll put your last name. Artices? I apologize. Jorge, please come up to the podium.
President Sewell, members of the board. So spoke last time, kind of give you guys a little understanding of like what an operator has to go through to get compliant or be compliant to try to put a plan together. obviously not in agreement with the timelines for the fines or being able to put the fines on pause. If there was some way to work that in, just for as an example, I've devised a way to be compliant. This is like a key component of it, right? So just to give you a piece of hardware that fairly expensive, but it's not readily available. Not like passing this down. Please be careful. But what you have there is a very unique water meter measuring. So very electromagnetic meters. But what's special about this meter is that it can handle a high volume of water, as most cannabis or industrial waste facilities use a lot of water or waste, have runoff. But it goes down to zero, which when you normally go to some type of engineering firm that has these environmental things, they cancel these out right away because you can't measure down to zero, right? You'll usually go down to 5 gallons per minute of flow, which is an ooze, and you don't have any way to counting it to be able to put some kind of injection or automated system. So like the second part to that is a batching system, right? But as you can see, that's an electrical component that would connect directly to this and automate this process. So you wouldn't be dependent on somebody going about it. So we're proposing, with compliance and trying to figure this out, a way to merge all this, get it packaged, do some kind of certification just to measure that it's been measured, it's been checked based off runoff, it gets dialed in, and then you pass, you're compliant. The problem is getting there, the time, right? Ordering the part. That part took me almost 2 months just to receive it. Like I brought the box. I just got this 2 days ago. The other components are somewhat readily available, but you can layer this into a place where you can get compliance down. You can monitor this with technology today. Like this can go online. You can monitor this and have direct access to operators. So at any time they go out, you get a red flag, you have somebody come and check to keep the operators accountable. But the possibilities are there. The thing is the time to do it. Installation, mostly right now, Christmas. It's impossible for me to find a plumber to go down into my manhole in the back of our building to schedule a time for this. They're basically saying, tell us in January. So what do we do till then, right? So I just want to present that to you, put that in your minds. Keep that in mind. If there's a way, maybe we just show that we're having a plan and it puts it on pause or starts to slow down the process, because time is ticking and all we're seeing as operators is that costs go up to a point where you just throw your hands up or your investors pull the rug out from under you and say, you're done. Like we're just close it down. We can't even get to the final point where we need to be. So I wanted to share that with the board. I really do appreciate your time and understanding. And I'll have this here after if you guys want to come check out or have any questions about it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jorge. And did we have any other public comment today?
This is Micah Bailey. Appeared last time. If I could speak, I would appreciate it.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. I appeared last month at the prior meeting, and so I represent. I'm an attorney, and I represent Cabot Management. And since then, I just wanted to update the board. We have installed $170,000 worth of equipment to address the notices of violation that Cabot has received from the board. And also we received a revised bill which reduces Cabot's current fines to $186,000, which is down significantly from what it had previously received. So that's appreciated. On the provision and the proposed language for, I think it's in section 11.05, the language currently states that it should, there's an obligation on the part of the operator to notify the district of compliance. I think there should be some more specificity built into that. Since I submitted a PRA to the district a while back, and there's obviously a lot of communication that goes on with staff and the people on the ground doing testing and following up with the permit holders. But I think there should be a clear path of exactly who the operator is required to notify and how that notification needs to be done. Because if the obligation is going to be put on the operator. I think the operator should clearly know how they are expected to notify the district of stated compliance. And on that note, I think that the fines should be stayed, paused, unless and until the point the district sends a representative out to the facility to inspect. There's always scheduling issues. There's always issues trying to get folks coordinated and scheduled. So that's something I think the district should consider doing and amending this in this ordinance. Next is, I think it's worthwhile to consider having the district notify the operator of when they intend to take samples. And the reason for that is it would be beneficial for the operator to have the opportunity to inspect and sample at the identical time that the district is taking samples in the event that there is a dispute on the testing results. Because without any notification to the operator is left after the fact trying to collect samples and then look at the testing results that it receives from the district and making its own determination of the validity of the sampling results. And the other thing that I would suggest is that upon the district receipt of lab results, that it immediately provide those results to the operator without the operator having to follow up and demand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. And any other further public comment before we close the comment period?
I would like to speak, if that's okay.
Yes. Could you state your name for the record?
Sure, no problem. I raised my hand on the Zoom, so I wasn't sure if you guys were calling on people that way or not. But my name is Devin Julian. And I'm with Culture. We're an operator to a couple different projects, cultivation projects on Two Bunch Palms, formerly Candescent projects, the Glide Building, as well as on Little Morongo. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak and for taking a look at this amended ordinance. As I stated, working with a couple of different operators, and I want to begin by saying that I understand and respects the district's responsibility to protect the wastewater and enforce the compliance. I appreciate you guys trying to modernize and clarify the ordinance. However, I have a lot of concerns around the enforcement language that's currently written. It's going to impact businesses that are acting in good faith and pursuing compliance. It seems that this is some cleanup language that understandably needs to be done, but having been in this process of trying to remediate any other issues, I think that this would be this ordinance going into effect immediately would have some serious consequences, and there probably should be some sort of a delay timeline to enforce and some adjustments to the language. Particularly, it states after 120 days that the district will terminate water or wastewater services. My concern is not that they can terminate, but the language says it's mandatory rather than discretionary. So I think taking a look at that and adjusting it would be prudent. I respectfully believe it should say may terminate, not that it will, so that they have the flexibility to evaluate the real world circumstances and staff doesn't just take this and immediately start shutting off services for businesses that it would be catastrophic with millions of dollars in losses, especially in the cannabis industry. There's no language in the ordinance that allows for remediation, suspension, or vacation of fines and penalties when the operator's pursuing compliance. Many compliance efforts require engineering, construction, equipment procurement, monitoring systems, and regulatory coordination that can't be completed in that kind of a rigid timeline. Without a clear remediation or good faith compliance pathway, it's tough for a business to invest substantial capital, work with professionals, and make that progress while still facing escalating penalties and a potential mandatory service termination. Water is essential to our operations. A shutoff doesn't just enforce compliance, it shuts the business down. There's no way to recover from a cannabis business right now. Jobs will be lost, tax revenue for the city will be gone, and there will be major long-term damages. So my request is not to weaken enforcement, but add to the balance and fairness. I think changing the termination language from will to may, adding some explicit provisions that allow penalty relief or suspension of the penalties while compliance is actively underway, and provide some sort of a grace period or phase implementation of this new ordinance so businesses have realistic timelines to meet the updated requirements. I think it still achieves what you guys are trying to do, but allows for some of the folks, including some that have spoken today, to get into compliance, because we are pursuing it, but it's not something that happens overnight.
All right. Thank you, Devin. Any further public comment?
Yes, this is Jason Ackerman, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be heard on this matter. I really appreciate it. My name is Jason Ackerman. I'm an attorney. I was a partner at the law firm Best and Krieger, where I worked for about 14 years, working on environmental issues, representing public agencies and applicants on water discharge issues. I am working with Culture Cannabis as well on some of these issues and in compliance with the district's requirements, permit requirements. The concern I have with the amended ordinance is the language that says if a violation continues past 120 days, Mission Springs will terminate the wastewater and water services. The following section 11.06 addresses termination and the due process and the procedure for termination. So it seems like maybe that language is surplusage, or perhaps it could be revised to say that projects that are in violation for more than 120 days could become eligible for termination pursuant to the provisions of 11.06, something to that effect. As Devin had mentioned, and currently we're working closely with the district's council, their attorneys, on bringing projects into compliance. But as Devin mentioned, there's a long runway for bringing projects into compliance after notices of violations are received. Sampling is going to be required. Modeling based on that sampling is required. So there's retaining of consultants to assist with modeling. Procurement of equipment and installation of that equipment has a long time frame. And there is a joint testing protocol that many applicants propose where they work with the district to implement and through an iterative process, revise how that mitigation occurs. And so I want to thank you for the time today and allowing me to participate in this call, but I would respectfully request that either this matter be put over or the revisions that have been suggested are implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Do we have any other public comments today? Looks like none. And council, close the public comment period before staff response, or?
Yes, close the public hearing.
Okay. We'll
And
close.
we can open it up to staff comments.
Okay, perfect. And with that, unless there's any other public comment, we will close the public hearing. And staff, do we want to go individually through the requests or comments, or just?
I think for the most part, we've addressed all of the comments that we've received. Some of these were new today, but I think they were expected, knowing where we are. And when you start talking about 120 days from the cease and desist and then going through the fine process and then having termination of service, at any time in that 120 days, we can start talking about a compliance plan and working through that. So why it's not specifically in there, that does give us the flexibility. In addition to that, there is a hearing process that we go through once compliance is met, that we can then start talking about negotiating of fines with the board. As you recall, in an earlier version of this, we did talk about the board being able to hear the pretreatment user or any fines or anything like that and hear and be able to tell their story. I think that's still part of this document and it still gives the board the flexibility to change that, but only after compliance is met. And I think that's really the true intent of this, is to get to compliance, not necessarily fine all of the people that are not compliant. So I feel for some of the concerns. I know that we've been working with many of the folks in the room. You see some of the technology they've come up with that they feel confident can work. Just Jorge, for example, he's with 13310, so his fine process, if you will, is a little bit less than the original 4, and he was able to come up with something. Yes, it took a couple of months, but he's been able to do that. So if you want to consider it being in the 120-day window, that's something that we can negotiate and work through with the board's help and the executive committee or the full board. So I think there is a mechanism to move forward, but it looks like I'll ask legal counsel to talk to some of those specifics of how the process works.
Yes, I have a few comments here. First, I want to bring the board's attention to the ordinance itself, which is on I believe it's on page 12 of the packet. That's the actual ordinance 2025-03. And there's an effective date provision towards the end of the ordinance, right before where it says passed, approved, and adopted. And it says this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon adoption. So you have the discretion to change that. If you decided that you wanted it to be effective in 30 days or 60 days, you have the discretion to do that if you choose to do so, given that there were some requests for some additional time. But there are some other options available to you as an alternative to that. And I want to start out by pointing out, and I think we've covered this in the past, that when you have wastewater discharge violations where you typically will have additional cost for treatment at your facility, and if it continues, then ultimately the ratepayers incur that expense, and so you end up with widows and single moms and families that are incurring that expense if you don't enforce your regulations with regard to wastewater discharge. Somebody might even argue it's a violation of Prop 218 to have that group of people that are not industrial users, that are not discharging in violation of our ordinances, subsidize that operation. So I point that out, and I think that's one of the motivations of the board wanting to ensure compliance by these people that choose to operate within our boundaries. The other thing that I wanted to point out is if the language in the enforcement provision, Article 11, it says it doesn't say MSWD shall terminate wastewater. It says MSWD will terminate, which is not quite as strong as shall, but it certainly indicates that that's the intent, and that's probably what you're going to do, is you're going to terminate their wastewater service or water service. But you always have the discretion to work with somebody if the facts in a particular situation justify it, and you believe that there's good faith efforts being made. You can always waive penalties, the civil penalty. You can always you have the discretion to reduce civil penalties. You have the discretion to enter into an agreement to grant additional time. There are some tools that are still available where the facts justify doing something outside of the timeframes that are set forth in Article 11. So I just want to make that clear. And then in addition to that, this is not the first time this has come before the board. I think we had a study session on Thursday, and then did you all have a workshop on this at one point?
A few months ago.
We've been discussing this since, I want to say, June or July.
Okay. And I believe one of the attorneys that attended today remotely had indicated at a prior meeting that they had some suggestions or wanted some changes. And attending by virtually today is one of the attorneys from my office, Peter Nolan. And I'll have Peter speak to it. My understanding is Peter, after the last meeting, reached out to that attorney and asked them if they had some proposed language that they wanted to suggest for us to consider. And Pete, can you speak to that?
Yes, absolutely. I heard some of the same issues raised tonight at that prior meeting. And I reached out to that council, and we had a conversation. I said, look, we're willing to consider any language changes that you think are appropriate and you suggest. Send us some proposed language, and we'll get it before the board. And I didn't receive anything. So, and just to remind the board, that's part of our historical problem here is these dischargers will go into violation, and they'll be noticed, and they'll be noticed, and they'll be noticed, and they'll receive a cease and desist, and they'll receive fines, and there's simply no action taken, no communication with the board. And so that's been part of our historical issues, and that's what we're trying to deal with, and we're trying to remedy. And if you think about the way the statute's written, if the violation continues past 120 days, that's the language that's used. 120 days is a long time to be in violation without remedying it. So we believe that this language has a discretion that John mentioned, and we're always willing to listen and hear and work with any attorneys that reach out on behalf of their clients to see how we can reach an agreeable path forward.
But by the same token, if you have somebody that is continually in violation and the problem's not getting fixed, the intent of this ordinance is to give you the authority to impose the fines to deal with that. So again, you don't have other residents subsidizing those violations. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Pete. Anything further from staff before we board member comments and questions?
No.
Did you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, one, occasionally in this situation and other situations where we impose something like that, the parties involved have difficulty in correcting the problem because they don't know who to turn to. Do we have a list of contractors and everything that can address these problems, that if they can't find somebody to fix it, we can say, if you're interested, here's somebody that can? We have a list of anything like that?
As far as folks that fit, we don't do that type of work inside of a building. Our design expertise are somewhere in a different area, if you will, of wastewater treatment. But we do have folks that we know of that can do that, and we have shared those. But in reality, some of these, it's specialized equipment, so they know the experts. I think the one thing where we've been the most helpful recently was there were some issues with waste haulers, and working with other pre-treatment customers that we have. They were able to work through that, or at least find someone else who was able to accept that waste when necessary. So we try to provide all the assistance we can. We just do not have the expertise in a pre-treatment system to say this is who you need to use.
Yeah,
so we try to help as much as we can.
I just thought it would be nice that they say, well, we can't find anybody, that nobody knows what we're talking about and everything. And I said, well, here's somebody you might contact and help you out. So, okay, thank you.
Director, comments or questions?
I'm going to I'm appreciative that we had members of the public come forward and speak. It's the first time that they have done so. And I'm grateful that we had some of them come forward. But I am wanting to reiterate some facts that I think were missed in the conversations that were had. And General Manager, please help me with some of the dates. The ordinance for industrial waste was updated on and went into effect when?
The original pre-treatment program, I believe, was 2008.
And the one that was recently passed was?
That was the spring of 2024.
Okay. So spring of 2024, the operators that were currently under industrial waste permits, the majority of them had haul away permits or were required to haul away. And some were not, and some were. But all of them, or the owners of the properties that they leased, received notices from MSWD on multiple occasions of the new ordinance and requesting communication so we could work together to come into compliance for each of those properties, correct?
Yes.
Okay. we find ourselves here as a board because none of the operators did that. Since spring of 2024, none of the operators came and showed up with plans to actually fix the problem or to even have, how do we fix it together? What can we do? We had, I think, 2 or 3 operators that came in and, from my understanding, made promises that they were going to come up with a plan, that they were going to find proper plumbing plans to provide because they were also not in compliance with the city. And still, a year and a half later, have not done that or have just recently in the last month done that. We as a board don't want to have to do this kind of stuff. We don't want to have to deal with the whole fining and policing. We want to be able to have operators in our city and businesses in our city that have the same plan as us, preserve what made our city a spa city, preserve what our children and future children will need to drink from, and what a lot of these operators' plants are thriving on. And if that's lost, then we've all failed, every single person in this room, every single business in the city. So I wanted to set the record straight that this isn't something that we have done without trying to mitigate, without trying to work with our community members, without reaching out, without doing everything in our wheelhouse to become better, to have better partnerships. Unfortunately, the fines have been the only thing that seem to have brought more people to the table. But then when some of the operators tell us that our fines are cheaper than complying, we're right back where we started. So as much as I hear the concerns that the operators have, and I hope that with them being on their plans of compliance and working with our staff diligently and keeping communication with our staff diligently, you can always appeal whatever fine you're given at the end if you're still given one by the time you come into compliance. But I think that the responsibility we have and the mission we have of protecting the aquifer that is relied on to serve not just this generation, but generations to come, trumps the feeling of lack of notice or of cost. So I wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President?
Just a couple questions. I have some comments. General Manager Macy, when someone gets notified that there is a violation, is there a name on that letter?
Yes, depending on the situation, there are some that we have that are owners or operators, and then others are tenants, and then also the owner.
Is there a name on our side? Who
Yeah.
signs it?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So there is actually a point of contact in that letter.
Correct.
So they would know who to contact.
Correct.
Yeah. So we wouldn't need that in an ordinance if it's on the paper, right?
Right.
Okay. I want to thank you, Jorge, for coming in and having a solution. Okay. That's really what this has been about. And I'm going to echo Director Duff. I know that we had someone who has not been in compliance for well over a year now. And you're not the only one, but there's a lot that have not, and they believe that it's been okay because it's cheaper than the fines. We started talking about this last spring simply because we were not getting anybody that was even interested in having conversations about compliance. That's what brought this about. And I will be honest and say I was the one who suggested higher fines in a shorter time period and a water shutoff. And I have to say, what's really interesting about this, now that this is here, and pardon my French, but this is everyone's oh shit moment, okay? Nobody has been here during all of these conversations on this, during the workshops, no. But now that you're afraid we might shut your water off, all of a sudden everyone has to speak up. If you read this ordinance, it says, unless otherwise directed by the general manager. What that means is that there is discretion. There is discretion with these fines. The general manager can say, these people are working with us, so we're going to pause the fines or we're going to waive the fines. We have the right to do that. But until we brought this forward, not one person came in here. And so I think you kind of know where I stand on this, and that if this is what it takes to get your attention, then this is what we're going to do. So that's kind of all I have to say.
And just, I guess my comments, a lot of repetition, but our goal is compliance and not to stifle business or increase fines. We want to work together, and I'm happy to see all the speakers that spoke today and those of you in this room, we hope to work together to find solutions. So thank you all. With that, do we have a motion on the item?
I will move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote?
And that's a motion to approve and a second to approve the ordinance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. May I have a roll
Director
call vote,
Duff.
please?
Aye.
Director Martin,
Aye.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 10 is award of contract to CA Lobby for state advocacy services. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute a 12-month agreement with CA Lobby LLC for advocacy services at a rate of $5,000 per month, commencing January 1st, 2026. The contract may be renewed for up to 2 additional years with a total cost not to exceed $180,000. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. I'll ask our Assistant General Manager, Marion Champion, if she has anything to add to Thursday's report.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. On Thursday, you heard from Rosanna Carvaccio Elliott, who supports MSWD at the state legislative level and also with regulatory advocacy. These services include monitoring legislation, drafting position letters, providing monthly reports, setting up meetings with legislators, engaging with relevant associations, and offering strategic counsel. The annual cost for these services is $60,000 per year. In the staff recommendation, I did ask for the authority to extend the contract for up to 2 additional years. Rosanna, with the understanding that Rosanna will be here every year to come and give us a recap of what we've done in the past year. And with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Director Duff, any questions?
It was great to hear from Rosanna last week. After board discussion, I had some thoughts, and I enjoy her monthly update in the general manager's report, but it does sometimes get lost in the weeds. Is it possible either a staff member or maybe herself give us a 5-minute at a study session or a board meeting every quarter? Or maybe each session, like the spring session and the fall session, just so that we hear from her, and if we've missed something in the general manager report, we kind of put a face to the work that's going into things.
We can do that at the staff level.
Beautiful.
Since it's not part of our current proposal, but we can most definitely do it at the staff level.
I think that might be helpful just to clarify all the work that she is doing. Thank you so much.
Vice President?
Nope.
And just to kind of spitball off of that, do you think it would be appropriate to just have it as an item that's in our discussion items, like our administrative building? And that month, if there is something, we go over it. And if not, I mean, we can easily breeze past it.
Go ahead.
Or
you know,
combining state and federal.
There was a couple of different things we'd like to bring to the board a little bit more often, a little bit consistently, in addition to even just our advocacy, but also our budget, and have a different update on a quarterly basis to show you the trends, the cash flow and stuff like that, stuff that we don't do now. Skylar and I was working with that last week. So we're going to try to do something a little bit different moving in the next calendar year. So we'll try and incorporate all of the ideas that we just heard, both federal and state, and then add what we were already planning to do from a financial perspective. So we'll definitely try to do things a little bit differently on a quarterly basis moving forward. And if there's any ideas, we can talk about it at our next workshop in January.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing further. Did we have any members of the public wishing to speak on item 10?
President Sewell, not that I'm aware of. If anybody wishes to comment on this item, please unmute your mic.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
And just to clarify, is this going to be for the 3 years?
What I've asked is for the first year to be approved with the authority to do 2 amendments to extend for up to 2 additional years.
All right. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Aye.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. Item 11, approve change order number 1 with Southwest Pump and Drilling Incorporated for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract and contract amendment number 1 for Kyle Groundwater Incorporated. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. We do have something to add to our presentation from Thursday. I'll ask our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, to cover this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon again, President Sewell, members of the board. After reviewing my presentation on Thursday, I spoke with the General Manager, and I felt it would be helpful to provide some additional clarification to some of the things that I said. My earlier comments may have unintentionally suggested that our system is in poor health. I know maybe the board may not have taken that message away, but for those that are watching in the public, I just wanted to be clear. Excuse me. So if you would just... So on your monitors, you'll see a screenshot of our SCADA system. As I mentioned, I'd like to just reiterate what I said last Thursday. I think you do. Hang on a second. I wasn't planning for that effect, but so on the monitors, you'll see screenshots of our SCADA system. So while 4 wells remain offline as part of our Chrome 6 compliance, as I mentioned last Thursday, it's 27, 31, 29, and 37. We also have well 34 offline due to mechanical failure. Well 22 will go offline in January for rehabilitation, with the completion expected in June of 2026. And well 42 is anticipated to be completed by June of 2026. More recently, which has brought our well 28 rehab to the board, is shutting off well 24 for also Chrome 6 compliance. So even with these wells offline, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, I don't put that in there. Our staff doesn't put that in there. Our system says healthy. It's something that it understands what's being used and what's being pumped out of the ground. So it does say healthy, which is a good thing. So that was the message I want to make sure that we really understand. So again, you can see that we maintain just under 18 million gallons of above ground storage as of 1:30 today. It's going to change if I were to do it now. I'd assume that that's probably closer to 18.2. This time of year, the demand is, again, typically 15 to 20% lower than the summer, averaging about 6 million gallons a day. This year has been a tad bit warmer. That gives us roughly 3 days of storage should a major issue occur. So again, the biggest message that I wanted to bring is we're not in shambles. We just have a system that we typically have more resiliency than we have right now. And although we're doing great, I just need one hiccup. And frankly, my last couple of weeks have been full of hiccups. So we've been, fortunate to manage through them quite well. But again, as the demand rises in April and beyond, the storage capacity drops to about 1, maybe 1.5 days. If we were to maintain that and not have an ability to bring water back in at a quicker process, which is why we're getting, what we're trying to do is get ahead of that. So if well 28 rehabilitation project is not completed timely, along with bringing other wells back online before the warmer months, it will create operational concerns. That said, I wanted to emphasize that our system is not in poor health. We are actively managing these challenges and planning ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Martin, questions or comments? Director Duff? Vice President?
Nope.
And I have nothing further. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve item 11.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry, who was the first?
Myself.
Oh, thank you. Director Duff.
Aye.
Director Martin.
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
And President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 12, Resolution 2025-21, Amendment of the Codified Mission Springs Water District Personnel Rules and Regulations, Title III, Personnel. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Oriana Hoffert, our Human Resources Manager, presented on this on Thursday. Oriana, do you have anything else to add?
There are no addition to this presentation, but I will be happy to recap.
Right. Did we have any further questions or comments? No. I think we've got it. Thank you, Oriana.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion on the item?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-21, amending the Mission Springs direct personnel rules.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Duff.
Aye.
Director Martin.
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 13, annual report of capacity fees and related capital expenditures. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Our County Manager, Skylar Albert, gave a presentation on this on Thursday. We did update the packet to have the actual final version of our 24 audit. I'd ask Skylar, present any additional information you'd like them to focus on. Skylar?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. I do not have any new information regarding item 13, the capacity fees and related capital expenditures, but I am open for any questions.
Okay. Did we have any questions, Director Martin?
No.
Director Duff? Vice President?
Nope.
All right. That one seems pretty straightforward. Do we have a motion for item 13?
So move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Aye.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. And moving on to item 14, accept audited financial statements for year ended June 30th, 2024.
I'm sorry, I read from the wrong script.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was AB 1600. This is the 24 audit. I apologize. Thank you, Skylar.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. So we actually have our auditors here, Brad Willoughby, our audit partner, to present the audited financial statements for a fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to be with you. We are here. I'm joined by my colleague, Sean, and he was the audit in charge for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024, which we are presenting on today. And we are just going to run through a quick presentation. Skylar, do you have the presentation to share there, or do we need to share our screen?
Oh, I believe you could share your screen on your end.
Okay. We'll do that. All right. Are you seeing my presentation screen or the regular?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you're seeing it. Okay, fantastic.
We are seeing your slide notes, so I don't know.
Slide note screen. Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to do the other screen, Brad.
Yeah, as soon as I hit full screen, it switched to my other screen. So I will share screen 2.
That's better. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. All right, so we have completed the audit of fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. And I know that is a little ways back, but we're glad to have finally reached the point here and have a full financial statement, ACFR, or Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, that you have now in your possession that is for the entire fiscal year. And we're just going to run through a few slides that detail some of the audit work that we did and talk about the opinion and findings that we have through the audit, and then answer any questions you might have. So let me, I had accidentally jumped to slide number 2 here. So our objective of the audit is to provide an opinion on whether the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects with generally accepted accounting principles, and wanted to let you know that you did receive that. So you've received an unmodified opinion from us, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide as independent auditors, and that's great. That's the kind of opinion you want and have received in previous years, and that indicates that the financial statements are presented in all material respects correctly. There's no modifications necessary, thus the term unmodified, which means there's no modifications necessary to be in conformity with generally accepted accounting standards. And then we performed our audit procedures in 2 general different steps: an interim work that we've done ahead of time, and then year-end work. Both of these actually occurred after year-end, but 2 different components of the audit, one being the review of internal controls for the purpose of designing our audit procedures, and then the year-end audit is the detailed audit over the financial records. And I'm going to invite Sean, who is our in charge, to give a summary of some of the audit procedures we did as we completed our audit.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. I'll just kind of pick up and kind of give like a brief overview. During interim, specifically, we try to gain an understanding of the district's internal controls over financial reporting. That can kind of vary between looking at the cash receipts, looking at cash disbursements, looking at contracts for compliance. In this, and during after we get an understanding of interim, that's when we move to the year-end audit fieldwork. Additionally, from interim, we do a test of operating effectiveness over cash disbursements, payroll, and common controls that's related to like reporting and closing. After that, and this is where we move into the year-end audit, where we conduct a detailed audit of the financial records, which is like an audit of members. We inspect relevant documentation. We inquire about policies, procedures, transactions, and events. We confirm balances and transactions with outside parties. We perform analytical procedures. We read the board of directors meeting minutes for anything that would be relevant, that would be related to the audit. And then we review and obtain relevant documents for contracts, debt, and doing confirmations over the debt payments, and then the confirmations over the bank, the financial institution for the bank accounts. Moving right along, we have we define our audit responsibilities, which is to review the financial statements, the notes to the financial statements, the management's discussion and analysis, or the MD&A. We read the letter of transmittal for relevancy and any inconsistencies or anything that would be related to the audit to make sure that everything agrees. We complete the review process with myself and then Brad Brelber as the engagement partner. And as Brad had mentioned earlier, we had given an unmodified opinions on the district's financial statements. Additionally, we draft up the internal control and compliance letter, or the GAGAS, and we draft up the post-SAS for the 114. Management is responsible for all the information in the statements. Moving to the completing of the process, our opinion indicates, as Brad had mentioned earlier, that is fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. For the government auditing standards, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control over financial reporting that we considered to be a material weakness or a significant deficiency. We had no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported. And then moving for the post-SAS letter. In this particular letter, one thing that changed from fiscal year 23 is that the adoption of the compensated absences, or GASB Statement 101. We also detailed that we had no significant difficulties in dealing with management. When they were very helpful. We also received a management representation letter from management detailing out the audit process itself. And with that kind of completes like a small overview of the audit itself, and then we can open the floor to if there's any particular questions or anything like that.
I think just to reemphasize, one of the main things we wanted to let you know that despite the timing, there were no deficiencies of a material nature or significant deficiencies that we were required to report to you. We did have some more minor items that come up as a routine part of any audit that we have discussed with management and provided to them, and they're actively already making corrections on that. Really, the timing difference had a lot to do with changes of personnel and availability of personnel, things happening at the district. But despite that timing delay with the fiscal year 24 audit, it was not an indication that there was anomalies or unusual things happening in the accounting records. There's certain things that we're required to examine, and when there's change of personnel, it takes more time to gather those and maybe complete schedules that need to happen for year-end close and things of that nature. As we've already been in discussion with the district staff about the 2025 audit, both sides, both us and the district staff, believe that the timing will be far different and that we will be able to move much more quickly through that process because of more stability in the finance department staff.
Great. Thank you. Did we have questions or comments from the board, Director Martin? Director Duff?
Thank you for your presentation and for all the information.
Vice President?
Nope.
And just to kind of go off of what you just said, I know Skylar's focused on increasing the speed on this next audit. And are there any things that we can do to help, or is that just?
I think from the board's side, I don't think there's anything specific. Skylar has already identified, a lot of the issues. I think one thing that will be a challenge, and it's not related to Skylar or anybody, it's any organization of all the ones we audit, when you are about to go into a change in system, which I understand might be happening in 26 for fiscal year 27. That is a very significant undertaking for any agency, and your agency is I would say leaning more on the complex side as far as the number of things that you're involved in. So it will be quite an effort, and he will definitely need some support to make sure that happens, because that basically, is another layer of work on top of what a finance department is already doing on a day-to-day basis. So I know that's coming up, but that shouldn't affect the 25 audit because that year is already closed.
Correct. Yes. I will say for the Tyler implementation, we expect to go live with the core financials, which is the bulk of it, in March. And then for payroll and utility billing, both in August. So.
Great. Well, thank you, Brad. And thank you, Skylar. Anything further from the board? Oh,
before,
sorry.
Yeah, just before Sean and Brad get off, I want to thank both of them. As they mentioned, we did have a lot of moving parts during this audit, and they were very helpful in getting through that as we were changing our moving parts. And also, I'd want to thank Skylar as well, bringing together our staff and getting all the information to Rams and everything. It was a difficult process, and as we said, a lot of moving parts, but I think both sides worked together very well and got us to where we are today. And as we said, we are going to do things differently in 2025. So again, I want to thank Rams and their staff for helping us get through this, and also Skylar and his staff as well. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, do we have a motion on the item?
I will move we accept.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Duff?
Aye.
Director Martin?
Aye.
Vice President Griffith?
Aye.
And President Sewell?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Skylar. Item 15, election of MSWD board officers for 2026. It is recommended that a president and vice president be nominated and elected for the 2026 year. And I believe, Dora, you're handling this item?
Yes, President Sewell. So it's just a reminder, all new board positions will take effect January 1st, 2026. So this is a call for nominations for board president for the term ending December 31st, 2026. Do we have any nominations?
Yes, I would like, sorry. I'd like to nominate Amber Duff for president for 2026.
That's the same one I was going to nominate. So it's, yeah.
And nominations do not require a second. Are there any other nominations for president? Okay, that will close the nomination period. I will do a roll call vote for those in favor of Amber Duff for president. President Sewell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Vice President Griffith?
Aye.
And President Duff, or Director Duff? Flip the tongue.
Point of order, actually in the past, if a person accepts a nomination on there, it doesn't require any further from the person being nominated, so.
Well,
How are you proceed?
The motion carries.
Yeah,
You've
if
got
you try to back out now,
Motion.
it's already 3-2. Three.
Thank you all for your trust. I accept the nomination
Thank you. Congratulations.
and
So
vote yes.
this now, thank you. This now is a call for nominations for vice president for the term ending December 31st, 2026. Do I have any nominations for vice president?
I do.
Director Duff, who do you nominate?
I would like to nominate Vice President Griffith to continue in his role as he's a great asset for us with legislation. Sorry.
And I should have asked this with you. My apologies, Vice President Griffith. Do you accept the nomination?
I suppose so, yeah.
Very good. Are there any other nominations for vice president? I will close the nomination period and do a roll call vote for those in favor of Vice President Griffith staying vice president. President Sewell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Duff?
Aye.
And Vice President Griffith?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you for handling that, Dory.
Of course.
Moving on to discussion items. Item 16, administrative building update.
Nothing to add to our Thursday report.
Okay. Item 17, groundwater protection program update.
Nothing to add to our Thursday report.
All right. The consent agenda this month is 3 items. That's item 18, approval of minutes, item 19, register of demands, and item 20, the 2026 Board of Directors meeting schedule. Did we want to pull any of these items to discuss? No. With that, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Duff?
Aye.
Director Martin?
Aye.
Vice President Griffith?
Aye.
And President Sewell?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you. Item 21, director's reports. Anyone would like to volunteer to go first? I will go then. Let's see. The month of November, I have November 5th, attended the AWWA webinar, Planning for Resilient Water Resources. The webinar featured Sonoma Water and really centered around their strategic planning. Sonoma Water focused on increasing their transparency and engagement with customers. One thing that I thought was unique was they incorporated an online dashboard into their website where they had back and forth with customers. They were able to provide input into the strategic plan, and this dashboard is still live. It's kept even after they've implemented the plan, and it serves as a tool for the public to see the progress being made. But overall, I thought it was a good webinar, but it was really more of a strategic planning webinar than planning for resilient water resources. November 6th, attended DHS State of the City. Was a long, detailed presentation, but I'm happy to see the amount of projects going on in Desert Hot Springs. Public safety was definitely a major goal for the mayor and the council, and the new fire station should be open any day now. And the police department expansion will be opening this coming year. It is also nice that Mission Springs Water District was honored as the Business of the Year. November 12th, the AWWA webinar, Communicating the True Cost of Water. This webinar had a lot of great information and really put an emphasis on being able to connect with customers, using social media to have year-round storytelling. It was really suggested that you're frequently trying to engage customers through social media, sharing successes as well as challenges we're facing. Really increases transparency and trust amongst our customers. Many of the suggestions were things we're already doing, like showing value for the water that we provide and making sure that the board and staff goals are aligned. So overall, I think we're doing a really great job. November 18th, CVWD board meeting was a pretty short meeting. They only had 3 directors present. They did approve a contract to rehabilitate 2 of their existing wells. They're hoping the rehabilitation will lower their Chrome 6 levels in those 2 wells and avoid them having to do treatment. Director Nelson did make positive comments on his meeting that he had with the city of Desert Hot Springs after the state of the city regarding the ID8 area. And other than that, it was pretty routine meeting. November 20th, Valley Sanitation 100th anniversary. I thought it was a great event, a good location there at the History Museum to have the event, but really nothing significant to report. Congratulations to Jason and his staff. And that's all I have for November. Anyone like to go next? Director Martin?
Yeah. On November 4th, City Council meeting, 2 public hearings, approved special tax area building, and there was a building code update. There was a report back on homeless resources. On the 6th, Desert Hot Springs State of the City, I don't have much to add to what's already been said, except for the fact that the positive information that came out during that concerning activities in the city and also the positive comments that were made about the Mission Springs Water District in terms of running things the right way is so refreshing after listening to state and federal crisis over the last couple of years. And it's nice to hear that somebody's doing it right. On the 6th, also, Desert Valley Builders Association legislative meeting. Glenn Miller was there representing Congressman Ken Calvert. Nothing more to report than that. On the 10th of November, Desert Valley Builders Association board meeting. There was a presentation by Tom DeBose and a presentation by for the legislative committee, as well as the political affairs committee. On the 13th, Aqua Region 9 event. They announced the results of the election for members of the board of Region 9, and I'm very pleased that I was elected to that position. So on the 18th, Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting. During public comments, Desert Water Agency Director McKenna commented on the flooding issue as it relates to Desert Water Agency. There was an adoption of the fire code amendments and the wildland urban interface code. It was a first reading regarding and a budget adjustment. On the 20th, Valley Sanitation District was a well-attended event. Nothing more to report than that. On the 20th, Countywide Oversight Board. There were 2 main action items, actually 3, but I'll address the first 2 first. There was a approving of the transfer of specified real property by the successor agency to the development agency. And there was a similar transfer adoption of resolution 2025-030, approving the transfer of specified real property by the city of Riverside successor agency under the city of Riverside successor agency's long-range property management plan, and making related findings and declarations and taking related actions in connection therewith. And the third item up there was that a recommendation from staff. I was nominated as chairman of the Riverside Countywide Oversight Board, and I was ratified by a vote of the board of directors. And that pretty much finishes mine.
Right. Thank you. Who's up next?
I'm short. I also attended the DHS State of the City, was surprised at some of the projects that were shown there because I was not aware that they were that far along. Some of them don't seem to be, but what I did find out there is that you can actually go onto the city's website and go to the permitting, I think it's the permitting department, or development department. And there's an interactive map where you can scroll down and it'll show you what is in progress, what is just through permitting. We're on there. And it has drawings and everything else, which is pretty cool. I did do the DWA, Desert Water Agency meeting on November 18th. That was their strategic plan. And also their state legislative year-end review, which was kind of interesting. Not a whole lot of action, just the plan, and then that. And then I also did the Valley Sanitary District 100th anniversary. They were not fortunate enough to have MSWD water there. Instead, they had Dasani, which was rated as the worst water you can have because of the amount of microplastics in their bottle. So that concluded my month.
Director Neff.
Thank you, President Sewell. So on November 1st, I attended the Palm Springs Unified School District DEI Summit. It was wonderful to see Councilwoman Jan Pye there as well. It was wonderful to see a lot of our DHS art on display there. It was wonderful to see, as well as some of the folklore dancers as well. But it was interesting to see Dr. Funches's plans for the future of PSUSD scholars, and specifically the plans for Desert Hot Springs that he again highlighted at that summit. So it was a good meeting. On November 5th, I also attended the AWWA webinar, Planning for Resiliency. I was very excited, kind of felt a little nerdy actually, at Sonoma's online accountability strategic plan, where it was a living document used by staff and an abbreviated version made available to the public. I was so excited I had to send the slides to our assistant general manager. I'm sure she's loving me. On the 6th of November, I also attended the DHS State of the City and was honored that MSWD's staff was recognized as being Business of the Year. They do so much for our community. All of the workers here at MSWD, they deserved it for sure. On the 6th, I also attended by Zoom the County Dust Summit. They had members of South Coast Air Quality Control Board, some university researchers. It was put on by Supervisor Perez. And one of our DHS residents actually obtained a ride down there so he could publicly speak about, how will our residents get some help with maybe some air purifiers or some air filters, and how can they be heard and ensure accountability from the Air Quality Board to address the post-Hillary silt and dust that we have been crying about, that unfortunately the Air Quality Control Board gave a continuing stand that, their data is their data. But they're now saying they're going to accept data from some of the other local researchers. And so we'll see where that can get us. And I am working with Grace Gardner and Councilwoman Pye to try to coordinate this community group to keep our DHS residents' concerns heard. On the 12th of November, I also attended another AWWA webinar about communicating the true cost of water. And that was interesting in that it was a panel of water professionals from various different places in the country, including Ohio. So it was interesting to see all of the different tools and ways that they told their story. But like President Sewell said, it was mostly enjoyable to feel so reassured that our public affairs department and customer service department under AGM Champion's guidance have done almost everything they talked about and are doing everything that they talked about. So that was always wonderful to hear. On the 13th, I attended the CVAG, ENS and CNC committee meetings. they were held down in the CVWD buildings in Coachella. They discussed Climate Pollution Reduction Act program and the regional plan for that. They also, it was interesting, in that proposal, they stated that water and wastewater makes up 1.2% of the state carbon footprint. I thought it was interesting because I was in a room of mostly city council members, and they brought up the water instead of the different fleet and city management vehicles, et cetera. I thought that was interesting. Let's see here. Also, there was an acquisition by the Conservation Commission of one parcel of land in DHS up in the Upper Mission, Big Morongo Canyon of 10.7 acres. And then they also had a very interesting presentation from the University of Davis on the 30 by 30 wildlife connectivity project. I guess for the last year and a half, they've been monitoring the San Gorgonio Pass and all the freeways and wildlife transfer from Morongo into past Whitewater. And they had cameras set up to track wildlife crossings and birds and et cetera. And they were unfortunately having to tell us that 77% of their cameras were stolen every time they were deployed. So they had a little trouble in getting accurate data because their equipment kept getting stolen. But they are extending and continuing the project for another year, it sounded like. Also, let's see, also received an update for the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission's plans that always had included burrowing owls. And they were talking about the state permit. There was a lot of data of how the state was collecting the endangered species data versus the federal government, and how our commission was in Coachella Valley was collecting that data. And the data that our Conservation Commission showed was actually showing a growing population of the burrowing owls in the Coachella Valley. And it was showing how nomadic they are in certain areas. Whereas the EPA that is trying to move forward with some new regulations was only acknowledging and counting burrowing dens that were from an initial count almost 20 years ago. And they would only count things if it was there. And some of that, especially post-Hillary, no longer existed. So the species did move, and they're successfully protecting them through that conservation plan, just to note that. In addition to that, I think that did it for my month. Oh, and I also attended the CSDA webinar, Good Governance for a Better Board, just trying to work on skills for being able to maintain the trust that you all have put in me in maintaining order and decorum in our future meetings. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item 22, General Manager's Report. We did 2 of these on Thursday, but we have a couple more.
Yes, there's a couple more, and then actually a 5th that we've added over the weekend. Each year at the fall conference, Aqua JPIA recognizes members that have a loss ratio of 20% or less in either liability, property, or workers' compensation programs. The members with distinction receive a President's Special Recognition Award certificate for each program they qualify in. So we had a loss ratio of 20% less. Therefore, we did receive this recognition award, and that certificate is on the dais on the far right as you come in. And just very proud that our staff and our system was able to allow us to achieve that award. Second, we were talking about the burrowing owl with the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission. There is a letter that has been circulated to a lot of the cities and water districts supporting the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission and trying to work through some policy and legal issues resulting in some of their agencies, the way they're interpreting some of the authorities that they have. So the letter is included on the dais, as well as some for anybody on the public that would like to look at this letter. But we are looking to, in reality, just participate in supporting CVAG.
And I think all the other agencies that I'm aware of are supporting the letter. So my understanding is General Manager Macy will be signing the letter, and he's just letting you know.
If there are any objections to the letter in any way, just let us know. We're not going to be doing anything until probably Wednesday morning. the deadline seems to escape me on my head, but I do want the board to have the opportunity to make any comments. But this is a form letter that's been worked through for all the legal counsel in the community, and we feel comfortable with it as it is today. Lastly, I'd like to congratulate our staff for another fantastic year in the DHS parade. Is that something that is a clip are we going to show today? The only reason we say this is because the clip so when we were going by the KSQ or NBC, they were doing a very nice job that we could not hear on the float. And they actually said a lot of great things that relates to the messaging that we've talked about how important we are on the top of the aquifer and how the water comes through us first, that we have the best tasting water, number 3 in the world. Somehow they had all of that information and they talked through it as we were going by there. So from that perspective, we did receive the Mayor's Award this year. So very proud of that. And our staff did a great job. We overcame a couple of issues. As you well know, it was a smaller float this year because we had an axle broke on the trailer we would typically use. But again, our staff is very resourceful and was able to work through those issues and still put together a fantastic effort.
Just while we're waiting, all the staff that was involved in making that float, great job. I mean, I think there wasn't many that were following the city's theme of street art, including the city. But
a little break here for just a.
Oh, go ahead.
Second. Boa, that is a brightly lit car. You are right. This is the Mission Springs Water District. And by the way, a little aside, they won a huge international competition recently for the best tasting municipal water out of entries all over the world. So come up here and drink the water.
That's insane. I had no idea.
I was like, wait, what?
That's incredible.
Isn't it incredible? Yeah, we need to go and do a story about it. That's amazing.
Absolutely. I want to taste the water. First
yeah,
of all.
and there's snow coming.
And there's the special guest, the Grinch himself, popping up as DJ tonight. We love that. Look at him go. Look at the snow. Oh, I love it.
All right, boy, they've got the Christmas spirit.
The Mission Springs Water District knows how to have fun, you guys.
So they have the Grinch in there, I guess. I missed him, but he's in there somewhere.
Yes, he's right there DJing tonight.
Oh, he's DJing.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's the cool Mr. Grinch.
Yeah. So they're one of the several water districts here, but I don't think they get their credit because that's pretty impressive.
That's a big accomplishment.
And I don't know how aquifers work. I'm not science based, but I do know that there's something about the water district here. It's like where the water kind of comes into the valley and goes into the aquifer, so it's significant. And they're shepherds of a lot of what we drink, and let's face it,
to have the best drinking water in the world. That's a huge feat, and they deserve their flowers. That's amazing.
That's correct.
All right.
Oh my God.
So that concludes our report.
Okay, thank you.
That was cool.
Anything from the board? I guess we're moving right on to director comments and requests for future agenda items. Director Martin?
Nothing further.
Okay. Director Duff?
Just thank you to all the staff and Fernando's expert driving on Saturday. He really did an amazing job navigating that float. It was wonderful. And thank you to my fellow board members who have expressed their trust in me for this future year. And I look forward to working with all of you. And I'm depending on all of your help. So thank you.
Lorenzo, not
Lorenzo, I'm so sorry.
Yes, and his cute daughters and everybody was in the cab.
Wonderful. So sorry.
Vice President?
Merry Christmas.
And I'll just say the last 2 years have been fun as the president, but I'm looking forward to a year under your leadership. And don't forget, Wednesday is a blood drive. And I believe we have closed session today.
Yes, we have closed session today. It will be conference with legal counsel, potential initiation of litigation involving 3 potential cases.
And with that, we'll head into closed session.
Yes.
All right, we're back from closed session. Counselor, can you report out?
Yes, the board met in closed session. It was item 24, conference with legal counsel, potential initiation of litigation involving 3 potential cases. There was no reportable action taken.
Thank you. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
Yes, Merry Christmas.